website. So Kenny got his from Moss, his new cartridges for the canister, and it is really tough to get in there. And Ken, I'll let you take the story from here.
Yeah, little bit of an update, Pete. It's more of an FYI. I finally was able to squeeze the ever-living shit out of the cartridge and got it down in size so it fit normally, but I had to really work it. I did. I picked up 2 new felt filters from Moss, and I took everything off, put it on the bench, broke it open, pulled the old one out, and usually there's a good 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch between the outside of the filter and the can it goes in. And this one, it was a jam tight fit, and I'm like, what the hell? So I called Moss, and they weren't very helpful. He said, well, didn't you see our bulletin back in 2017 that you just got to squeeze it? And when I first tried squeezing it, it's like the screen that's in there, it's pretty tough. And I'm like, oh, this thing doesn't want to squeeze. But after I spoke with you, Peter, I went back out to the garage and I probably spent a good 10 minutes squeezing that thing in every which direction all the way around. And I finally got it down to size where I had the proper clearance. Because my first concern was, or the question I had, which is kind of a moot point now, was I going to still have enough oil flow through the filter with it fitting the canister that tight? And I didn't think I would. I had good oil pressure, but I just didn't think I'd get ample flow. But I kind of solved the problem by, you just got to be diligent. So on FYI, if anybody's still using felt filters and you order them from Moss, be prepared to squeeze the crap out of it to get it down to the right size.
Has anyone else experienced anything like that with those with canister oil filters? Okay. Well,
I have one to put in now.
Okay. Go ahead, Scott.
And I have a Purelator or the other brand, and I'm kind of researching between what to put in. But mine has a remote one up front, and I definitely want to keep it. It's so cool. So
now just to share what you're talking about on a Sprite. Is it 1275, Scott?
No, not yet. Alan's going to help me. It's a 948.
Okay.
But it has a that remote style, but old school, and I believe it to be Purelator, but it's up front. So I definitely want to keep that style. I'm sorry?
Is it attached to the block, Scott?
No, it has 4-foot leads, and it's up in the front the radiator to cool it. I believe it, to cool it. But it's definitely period.
So is this an oil cooler that's above and beyond?
I'm sorry, no, it doesn't have a radiator. It just has that cooler put way up front near the antifreeze radiator.
Okay.
With the 5-foot leads.
Okay. No. Okay. No. I understand. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But do you also
that's interesting?
have a canister?
I got my filters. I haven't put them in yet.
Do you also have a canister oil filters, Scott?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's what. Okay.
Yeah, and I believe it to be the Purelator. I saw there was 2 choices.
I didn't
from
know
identification on the microfiche. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
My machine has a delay. I'm on an old laptop.
Okay. No, so I hadn't heard that before. So Ken, you got it in. You got good oil pressure, and everything seems fine now.
Yeah, everything's normal now, but it just took me a little while to finally figure it out. So, for what it's worth, anybody else out there runs into the problem, you know what to do. Prepare to squeeze to get it down to size.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Thanks for sharing that, Ken. Are there other questions tonight? Ken's the one that gave us this one in advance. Dave Walsh, you have a question?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Just to let you know,
sorry, Dave.
I did, Peter, I did have some luck with adjusting my emergency brake I think I got a suggestion from Rick Neville regarding that. I was wanting to know how to adjust it. And he said, just click back the adjuster on the rear brakes, and that worked perfectly. Adjusted the brake pedal and the emergency brake. So I made out there. And I think I mentioned last month that I had some scratches on the hood of my car, and I went to a fella, and he did a great job. And I put it on the website, his name and his phone number and everything. So I was very happy with the way that turned out.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Is he down the Cape?
He's in Bourne, yeah,
Okay,
just
yeah,
over the canal.
yeah, okay. Well, that's great. Well, let me share my screen. I'll show you one thing that I did on my BJ8. Share my screen. Let's see. Are you guys seeing the screen right now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I am, yeah.
So I installed a skid plate. It was a Moss
yeah.
kit.
Yeah.
And I had to do some modifications to it because I've got a Dennis Welch big bore muffler and rear exhaust. It comes directly into flexi pipes. I chose to stay with the flexi pipes instead of going with the Welch header. A good friend of ours, Dominic Falconeri, who I know many of you are familiar with, he had the complete system from Dennis Welch and found that without the flexi pipes, it rattled like crazy and had a lot of vibration through the whole car. So I chose to kind of modify that. So I've got the standard flexi pipes, but the Dennis Welch big bore exhaust and the rest of it. But I had a situation. I was out in Bennington, Vermont with my BN4 a number of years ago, and Cindy said, "I need a coffee. We got a long ride home." But okay, we'll go to Dunkin' Donuts and get a coffee. And I was leaving out of the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot. There was a little lip there, and I ripped the exhaust off the muffler off my BN4. So she got her coffee, but we had to ride home with open exhaust 150 miles. So she wasn't very happy with me there either. But so I'm not sure if anyone else is familiar with it. It's made out of stainless steel. It's like $75, and it was a new feature on the Moss catalog, and I'm very pleased with it. So I just wanted to make people aware of that if because we know our exhaust hang pretty low, and so this would be for a 6-cylinder car. So this wouldn't apply to a Sprite or to 100, but it does fit. I had to do some modifications to it to get it to fit with the big bore exhaust, because the 2-inch pipes are larger than the standard pipes. But I was pleased with the results.
How
What
is
is
it attached, Peter?
I'm sorry.
How is it attached?
Well, it's hard to see in this picture, Les, but it goes up top there in terms of where it's held onto the front of the frame. So the exhaust is held on in 3 places. One right above that where that skid plate is, then one going back out behind the muffler that goes up to a clamp where the X brace is, and then one at the very back behind the rear wheels. So I did have to drop the exhaust and held it up, but I had to drop it down to be able to get that skid plate to fit up there. But there is a mounting hardware that comes with it, and it says it fits. So again, I had to do some modifications because of the 2-inch pipes instead of 1 3/4 inches. I think it's the standard ones. But it doesn't rattle, and it's stainless steel, so it won't rust. And thus far, I'm pleased with the results.
Pretty cool.
It looks great.
those were
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Quiet
So
trips away from Dawkins.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I'm not even a coffee drinker, so it just shows you what I'll do for my wife. and then I had to, but I can tell you, she wasn't very happy riding home from down Route 2 from Bennington, Vermont, with that open pipe. So I had to use a bungee cord to hold up the back of the exhaust, and it was a long trip home.
Peter, you enjoyed yourself.
Well, no, I didn't. I didn't like those open pipes either. Just what you need is that loud exhaust. So they say a 6-cylinder Healey's got the best note, but with straight pipes, it's not the best note. It's annoying. But any other comments or questions tonight? Ted Cray, you're on mute.
There you go. I'm off mute.
Great.
Last month, we had a discussion about using points. I think Michael Salter led that versus the electronic ignitions. And I was wondering where he gets his points from, because I know a few people who've gotten new sets of points these days from common suppliers and they don't fit.
Where do I get my points? I'm lucky enough to have a really large stock of old British sports car parts, and amongst them are quite a number of original Lucas points.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I use.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
Does anyone else have any experience with poor points, aftermarket ones you may buy from a regular supplier? Okay.
If you have the earlier style points like a 100 uses, you can go out on eBay and find lots of them out there, new old stocks. The part number is 420196. So
Now, how many pairs have you bought?
I only need one. So
You need a spare set, though. Ted. You
That's
never
right.
know.
I still got the electronic ignition, but I've got an extra distributor and the points. So
Okay. Well,
I used to work at a Lucas distributor, so I always remember the part numbers.
There you go. Well, you're a smart man to carry a spare. You never know what a Pentronics might pack up.
This is true. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Well, in the latest Healey mark, Austin-Healey spares in England, were advertising their new electronic distributors.
Were they? Okay, I didn't see that, Ken.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, new advertiser, it said. And I had researched those. They're really neat and adjustable for your driving, Some of them you take the cap off and turn a screw, some are external on there, and you could get your high end, or it can be retarded in advance.
Wow.
I guess easier. They look really neat, and they're engineered in the UK. CSI, it said, but it was a different distributor or something, but it was a UK. But
Great.
those look really interesting, and
What
they're
does
built
the- What does the
in
adjustment
Lucas
actually do?
housings.
What does the adjustment
You
actually
can
do?
retard your timing and move that around for your, say you're going to race day. I mean, you can just all high end. You can advance that. Retard
So this is
that.
on the points themselves, you're saying, Scott?
It's because it's an electronic ignition in there.
Oh, okay. The electron. I'm
So
sorry,
yeah,
my bad.
so I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
And that was in the new Healey marquee.
Okay.
Their ad on
Gotcha.
page 12, it was a new ad advertiser, I mentioned. And what they're advertising is that electronic they have.
Okay. Not familiar with that. So Bruce Olson, anything new going on with your restoration? You're on mute, Bruce. Bruce, you're on mute.
Yeah, I'm still having issues with this dual circuit brake system. I'm almost ready to give up and go back to the original single circuit. It's just I just having a real hard time bleeding it, and I don't really know. I've given it one more week because I'm still planning to move the car over to Mark LeBlanc's place, and hopefully he said maybe I could bring it over there the day of the open house that he's having on the 27th. So so that's my objective at this point, and I'm going to give it a kind of one last shot, and then I've got the original single circuit master cylinder ready to go in there, because I don't want to mess with I want to get this done before he puts all the body panels on, because I don't want to have to mess with it and pulling the carburetors off and stuff to changing master cylinders, especially I've got that free flow intake manifold, which moves the carbs closer over the master cylinders than the stock setup.
Is it still SUs or Webers?
No, it's still SUs. It's HD8s on there. It's the one that AH Spares sells. It's the what's it called? Free flow manifold.
Okay.
Yeah, but it sticks out farther than the the stock Healy manifold. So, you know, it makes it harder to work in there and, you know, behind the carburetors where the master cylinder is.
Can you still get an air filter on the carburetors?
Yeah, yeah, I've got some air filters on there.
Does it require a different air filter than the standard Cooper ones?
I got they had some stainless steel ones that kind of look like the Cooper ones at AH Spares, and I put those on. Those
Okay.
are pretty, they seem to fit well, and there's enough room for them, so,
Oh, good.
yeah.
Which master cylinder are you using?
It's the AH Spares dual circuit one. So I originally, when I ran the brake lines, I ran the rear line above the firewall, like the clutch line runs. And I decided, well, maybe that's part of the problem. So I reran it down along, you know, the front where they normally go. So just an extra line down there, and then just continued it out to the rear. So I did that last week, and it helps, but I'm still getting, you know, when I pump the pedal, I'm still getting air in there somehow. I just can't figure it out. I've pressure bled the brakes. I've used the 2-person pump method, and I've used speed bleeders. I even used reverse bleeding, and I haven't been able to get the system so that it doesn't, you know, you pump it a few times and the pedal gets a little higher each time. So there's air and trapped somewhere in there. I discovered some, I think, I put a plug in that, you know, that 3-way T down on the passenger side where the rear line hooks up. I put a plug in there for and it's sort of canted up a ways. So I realized, well, maybe some air is getting trapped in there. So I kind of opened that up and pushed the pedal to, you know, get some fluid out and get rid of any air. And I think that helped a little bit, but it's still not 100%. And I can't figure out where in the system.
Have
it's,
you tried
happening.
tried clamping the flex lines?
No, I've got those ones that are sort of stainless steel flex, and I was worried about that they wouldn't.
Takes all the fun out of bleeding brakes, that does.
Yeah, really. Yeah. I mean, I've tried, I could plug, you know, the front and the rear ports of the master cylinder and just test one circuit at a time. I was thinking about trying that out, just to isolate, you know, the 2 circuits.
You do get air when you bleed it, though.
Yeah, yeah. I get a little air out. I mean, you know, I pump with a pressure bleeder. I pump a fair amount of fluid through the system, so I would think I'm getting all the air out of it. But I'm just
pressure bleeder as in one that you put onto the cap of the master cylinder.
Right.
And
Yep.
it has a reservoir so that it's filling the master cylinder.
That's right. Yep.
Can't imagine where air would be getting in.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't either.
Strange. Yeah.
I checked all the fittings.
So is it one?
Put pressure on the pedal and then looked around, make sure there wasn't any fluid leaking anywhere, or, you know, make sure there wasn't any fittings that weren't totally secure. So
if you get if you can manage to pump up to a hard pedal,
yeah,
and you hold force on the pedal, does it stay in place?
Yes, I believe it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you've got no leaks.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's air and trapped somewhere in the system, right?
So how many pumps to get a hard brake pedal?
It's only like three to four pumps.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can get a situation if the fluid supply to the master cylinder is restricted. When you lift your foot off the pedal, it actually draws air past the seals. It's a bit of an unusual situation, but that can happen. But if you lift off the pedal slowly when you're doing the pumping, you can eliminate that as a potential source.
I see. I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Beyond that, good luck.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to
No,
pump fast.
there's
correct,
only so
Michael?
much you could help. I mean, if you were here, you probably could figure it out with me, but there's only so much you could help me over a Zoom session, I think.
And Michael, isn't it? You want to pump slowly. You don't want to pump fast, right?
Well, the problem is that when people start pumping hard, they lift their foot off the pedal quickly, actually much more quickly than you normally do driving. And the small spring in the master cylinder pushes the piston back and allows air to actually go around the outsides of the seals. So if you lift off slowly, it's okay, but it's when you flip your foot off the side of it or lift up quickly, then something's got to replace that, fill that cavity. And if it's easier for air to seep around the outside of the seal than it is for fluid to come from the tank, then you can get air in. Keep trying.
Yep. I'll get there. Last
Okay.
thing,
Wanna
then
throw
I'm ready
something
to
out?
go and get the body done. So I'm very excited to get it out of my shop after a number of years.
How many years, or aren't you telling us?
I think it's been about 8 years since I started on it. It hasn't been a full-time project though, but
Well, that'll be great.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I knew you showed those pictures in the past where you were in your shop. You showed your panels up on the wall.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I've had them primed and ready to go, the rough body work ready to go for a couple of years now. So
Great.
yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to throw this out. It's just, and I'm coming in on, because you guys had mentioned you'd already discussed this a lot. I'm the new guy. I call myself the new guy. But and I'm just throwing this out as a thought. But you mentioned it was an upgrade and a dual. Could it be some sort of proportioning valve problem? No air leakage, but a different routing or a proportioning valve?
Actually,
that could.
I checked with AH Spears because I thought, well, this is it. I've talked to other people that say, shouldn't you have a proportional valve in there? And of course, the original system is a disc drum system without a proportioning valve, single circuit. And I think these are designed dual circuit to work, just a plug-in replacement for the, just have to rerun the lines. And that's the way, the AH Bears says. I asked them about that. Do you need any sort of proportioning valve or metering valve? And they said, no, it should just be a straight in replacement.
Plug and play, it sounds like Microsoft.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Rob Moore, anything new going on with your restoration? We're getting your car going again?
Nothing new,
Your car-
Peter.
Your car's still in Vermont?
Yes.
Is that where you are now? Where you
That
would
is
need them?
where I am right now. Yeah.
So how was the eclipse there? Did it go, you have totality in Vermont?
No, well, where we are, it was about 98, 99%.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, but yeah, not 100%.
Okay. So no new updates, huh?
No, I did charge the battery, but
Okay.
that's as far as I've gotten this spring.
Okay, well, so do you hope to get it started this year? Is that the goal?
Yeah, well, last time I left, I had it wasn't getting fuel, so I think there's something in the float bowls or the needles or something, because it would fire when I would give it starting fluid, but then it would just shut down right away.
Okay. But were you hearing your fuel pump?
I think that's a good question. I don't know, Peter. I should check that. I don't recall because it was quite a while ago now.
Yeah, because if you don't hear a fuel pump,
You ain't getting any fuel.
yeah. Now you were getting a spark?
Oh yeah, it was popping because it blew all the birdseed that the mice had brought into my exhaust system out.
That was last month's subject.
Yeah, practically put a hole in my jeans, fired out so a lot of force.
There you go. Okay, well,
But I'm hoping to get back at it.
okay. Well, that's good. Other questions tonight or comments or recommendations?
Got a question.
David?
Got somebody working on my BN4 that I picked up last fall. And the prior owner had put some Bredensteins on about 15 years ago. There's only 7,500 miles on those tires, but the recommendation was replace them because they've turned to rocks by this point. So I'm going with Michelin's and 60, also replace the wheels, original wheels. So I'm going with tubeless Michelin's with 60 spoke painted wheels. I don't know. Is that a good choice?
I prefer painted wheels myself.
Yeah.
But that's probably a good decision. Are you gonna have the tires shaved as well as when they're balanced?
Don't know. Good question.
Okay. So, there are a number of folks that also shave. So they take the high spots out of your tires as they're balancing them.
Right.
I'm not sure if Ken Beck's on tonight. He's down in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. He does it, and Alan Hendricks does it down in North Carolina. But it makes. So, did you have any scuttle shake with your car, David, when you drove it on the highway?
Say
Any
again?
scuttle? Did you have a shimmy or any scuttle shake at 55?
No, not really. I was
Okay. Well,
the car was. I've only driven it like 50 miles, maybe 4 outings, short outings, just in the neighborhood because there's a problem with the steering wheel. But no, the only thing I was surprised was it rides like a buckboard. It really was very stiff, and the answer was, probably a combination of shocks and tires.
but you did wheels and tires. And you did shocks too?
They don't know yet. I find out by Wednesday, I think.
Okay. Well,
Shocks were replaced about 7 or 8 years ago.
Well, without a lot of miles, shocks wouldn't be a necessary wear item, but you're right. Tires get at 15 yeyears old.
Right.
They're probably pretty darn hard, and even though they got plenty of tread on them. I replaced on my BJ8 wheels and tires 2 years ago. Made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very pleased with it. So,
I have one other question.
anyone else have recommended? Go ahead, Dave.
It's been 55 years between owning Heelys. I noticed in the Heely mark, I've got 10 years back issues of the Heelys mark. I know somebody wrote a story that it was 40 years between his cars, and I've got that beat all to hell. I'm 55 years. But in poking around in the platform under the dash on the passenger side, there's a plastic bottle with a tube that comes in. Is that window washer?
It is. It's not glass. You have a BN4, right?
I haven't stuck my hand in. I just leaned over, looked in, and said, what's that?"
Well, you have a BN4, correct?
BN4, yeah.
It should be glass.
Okay.
Clear glass, and that is the fluid holder for your windshield washers.
Okay.
Not that you ever use them, but that's what it's for. But anyone's correct me on that? I believe all BN4s had glass bottles. They didn't go to plastic until later in the run on 6-cylinder cars. Is that right?
Yeah, they are glass in the early cars. And if it's got an original windshield washer jet, you could probably sell it for what you paid for the car.
Well, those glass bottles aren't cheap either. That's why you made check on that, David. See, it's not, you said it's plastic. I mean, the later ones had plastic.
I didn't reach in and try to pull it out. It looked like it was sort of a cloudy plastic. Didn't look clear.
Yeah, my BT7, it's plastic.
Mhm.
Was it okay?
1960 BT7. It's
Yeah,
plastic.
thanks, Les. As far as you know, that was originally that way?
As far as I know.
Yep, okay. Well, again, I had a 57 BN4 and it was definitely glass in 57.
My BT7 is original and it's plastic.
Is it? Okay, well,
Neat.
so
You guys
early
add the
cars
moss here,
had
has those
glass.
numbers too.
Later cars had plastic. So I would check
Moss
that
has
out,
that
David,
here,
and make sure it's still there when you pick up your car.
Right.
'Cause as Michael said, that those sorts of parts are valuable to other people. Albeit you're never going to use your windshield washers, so don't lose any sleep over that part of it.
Well, Peter, I do remember on one of these calls, somebody had mentioned that they got dinged at their state vehicle inspection for not having the window washer working.
Really?
That was one of the earlier calls about a year
Wow.
ago.
Fortunately, in Massachusetts, that's never been checked on my cars. Was that in Connecticut?
No,
Les?
no, I think it was in Vermont, but I'm not sure.
Wow. Okay. Well, it wouldn't be New Hampshire because they live free there, or die.
I got dinged in Massachusetts.
Really?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
your windshield washer fluid, Steve?
Yeah, they said as long as you have windshield washers, they got to work. And they turned down the they didn't give me the sticker.
They give you a reject sticker? They rejected it?
Yep.
Wow. Don't go back to them.
Oh, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
You may be the person I was recalling.
Geez. Okay. Well, thanks, Les and Steve, for that anecdote. Now you got me worried next time I have to get my car inspected. I haven't tried mine in forever.
I have never bothered to fill mine.
Right.
In the Moss catalog, it says it goes BN4, the glass reservoirs, which ironically everything says not available. It says BN4, it has those numbers to BN6, 1182. So some early BN6s might have the glass, but it's mainly all BN4.
That would make sense.
The Moss catalog.
Yeah.
If anyone has,
I like this vacuum style squirter, squeak, like hand pump.
Okay.
if anyone has an original BN4 windshield washer jet, I would love a picture of it for the concourse guidelines, because we don't have.
Wow.
This is on the bonnet. The external jet on the bonnet.
Yeah, it's a single jet with two nozzles on it, and it's quite unique.
Yeah, it's sort of a diamond. Mine's sort of a diamond shape with two nozzles.
That's correct. That's the one I need a photo of.
What are you offering?
You special price today only.
Well, that's good, David. You got something you can help out Michael. He's been a huge help to us for so many years, and give Michael a hand.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions or comments or recommendations?
Yes, Ken here.
Okay.
First thing, I want to thank Michael. I've been bugging him for the last, probably once a week for the last month. And I just want to compliment him. You've been a great help, Michael. Thank you very much. So, I am coming along. I had the brass bushing fall off the bottom of the shifter, and I had to take the side plate off, and Michael was kind enough to guide me how to take it off and put it back on. So that's done. I am now in the process of adjusting the upgraded clutch linkage, and this is on my BN2. And I've got my I've got it so it disengages the, the throwout bearing the proper amount of degrees, which is about 10 degrees. But the pedal does not return all the way. I still have free play, and when the pedal returns, I've still got about 2 inches before it fully retracts. And I'm just wondering if that's a matter of adjusting, still more adjusting, or do I need a heavier spring that goes between the bell housing and the clutch arm? I've tried a couple of things, and it's still got me baffled a little bit to get that full return on the brake or on the clutch pedal.
Is the are you saying that when you lift your foot off the clutch, it doesn't come all the way up?
Correct.
There's a spring that's meant to be, it goes between a little tab on the frame to the clutch linkage. Have you got that spring there?
Yes, it is on there, Michael. Yep.
That's meant to be what pulls the clutch pedal all the way to the top.
Right.
It's not doing it.
No, it's not doing it.
Yeah, so there must be some sort of resistance in the pedal linkage to stop that, I think. Because
well, I've got the upgraded linkage that Moss sells, and it's all free. I mean, there's nothing binding, and it. So that's why I'm a little baffled.
I'm gonna plug it back in here.
Yeah, you'll have to drive it up. You'll have to drive it up to Fox Point, and I'll take a look.
Yeah, I've offered you room and board a number of times.
So Ken, do you think the spring is strong enough?
It's a new one from Moss,
Okay.
but I probably got 100 springs in my spring drawers, so I was thinking about trying some of those.
How big of a spring is it, Ken?
Well, the actual coils are maybe 2.5 inches in total length, with the 2 ends that go in the holes. It might be 4 inches, 4.5 inches max.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Michael?
I think if the clutch is disengaging when you push the pedal to the floor, and the pedal's not coming all the way to the top, you can't come to too much harm. I would tend to leave it alone for a while and run it. It may just come right. It may just loosen things up.
Okay.
That would be my guess. But as long as the clutch is disengaging fully and there is free play when the pedal's at the top, you can't do too much harm.
Yes, when I push the pedal in, I put it in gear, I can turn the drive shaft by hand. I release the clutch, and I cannot turn the drive shaft.
So you're okay. You're okay. Don't worry about it for now. Go on to something important.
But again, I would publicly like to thank you again, Michael. You've been a great help.
My pleasure,
You
Ken.
even answered your phone call when you were in the Azores. So I at least gave you some good advice on what to eat when you were there.
Good restaurants in the Azores.
Yeah. So
Well, I think Bruce Ketchen may have some good things to say about you too, Michael.
Oh, gee. It's time for me to leave.
Well, I think you go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Peter. I think the last month I told people that I was rebuilding a water pump for my Austin-Healey Sprite, my Bugeye Sprite. And I decided to do this more because I had a lot of old pump bodies around and didn't feel like buying another modern pump. And so the missing link here is a seal. And it's a rubber seal with a spring inside and a piece of carbon fiber on the front that rubs against the back of the impeller. And it's somewhat tricky job to get the pump apart. You have to be careful. They're all compression or fittings that are pushed together. There's no keys in there, and there's no bolts holding the shaft and the impeller together. And I could not find until Michael stepped up. I could not find a replacement seal. The one that came out of the pump was absolutely as hard as a rock. It wasn't until I got the new one from Michael that I realized these are really quite flexible, and the spring is there in order to put some pressure onto the carbon face that pushes against the back of the impeller. So, Michael, thank you for coming up with I searched the internet, did not find those seals anywhere, and I got to thank you for your speedy response. If the Postal Service had been a little more friendly, I would have had a seal about a week earlier, but it felt that the need to go to Chicago before it went to New Jersey, then Pennsylvania, then Nashua, New Hampshire, back to Boston, to me on the South Shore of Boston. So all's well that ends well, and I thank you again, Michael.
Glad
But
to
you get
help.
some frequent flyer miles for that?
Listen, I think the car is probably happy that the seal has as much mileage on it as it does.
So have you put the pump back together yet?
It's all back together. It came apart. Like I say, I had access to a press, a heavy hydraulic press to take it apart. When I put it back together, I didn't have the immediate access to it, and I was able to put it back together with a big machinist vise. And it's so far seems to be, it went together quite nicely. I'm very happy with the way it came out.
And doesn't leak? Or you haven't gotten that far?
I haven't put it in yet, but it's doing everything that Michael said it should do. You should get a little raspy sound out of it when you turn it, and so you know that the carbon is in contact with the vane, and so everything is doing what it's supposed to do. We'll see when it's in place.
Right.
If it does leak very slightly, Bruce, when you put it in, don't worry about it. Run the engine for a while. They sometimes take a little time to bed in.
I imagine that's probably true. Yes, I did resurface the backside of the vane on the lathe, so it has a smooth surface to work to, but I think it's rough enough to be able to help bed it in.
You read my blog?
Yes, I did. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Neat.
Other
What a
comments?
wonderful gift this is of information of all enthusiasts. I'm so happy to be a part of this. Just listening, I learned so much.
Well, great. Well, thank you, Scott. Yeah, we've been doing this for about 6 years now, and we do it the second Monday of every month. And
Wow.
you can hear lots of it's amazing. Every month we do this, there's always a new question. So it's not, there's no occasionally we'll go back and cover something that we've covered before. The other thing is we record these and we have them posted up on our website in the members only section. So you can go back and listen to past ones as well.
Yeah. Find that info. Great.
Well, thanks, Scott.
Yeah, I just want to say I got the speed bleeders going back like 3 or 4 episodes, and I got the part number, and boom, it was great.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you find this valuable. Please, Ken.
Yeah, I'd like to express one more thank you, and that's to Bob Abbott. I don't know, I may have said this last month, but he ended up having a generator rebuilt on the shelf, and he was very accommodating. My wife and I drove basically to Boston. She went to a quilt shop, and I got my generator. So thanks to Bob Abbott also.
Hopefully it's working well for you.
Wow.
Have you installed it yet, Ken?
Yes, but now that I have my transmission all set. My next step is to put the carburetors on. I had them all rebuilt, by Joe Curto last year, so I'm set to put those on within the next week and hopefully start the car.
Great. So our May meeting, will you give us a test ride?
Well, maybe in my chopped Mercury I will, but
okay, well. So, okay, well, thank you for acknowledging, the work that, Bob and Michael and Ken does for us, and Bob Yule, we really appreciate these experts and the work that they do for the industry. Absolutely. Okay. Other comments?
If you want to go back to water pumps for a minute, we found that when we fit new water pumps, we always run them dry for about 30 seconds, and that seems to bed them in right away.
You hear that, Bruce? So do you think that he should do that also on a rebuilt one too, Bob?
I can't imagine why not.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Another
How was
trick
your
is-
open house you had at your place, Bob?
It went well. We had a good crowd, 40, 45 people.
Great.
They ate all.
Another trick for running in water pumps is you can run the pulley against a wire wheel on a grinder, the wire wheel on a bench grinder, and that'll spin it up to a nice speed. Just keep your fingers away from the impeller.
Good advice. Thank you. And thanks again, Bob.
That's great.
Yeah, we had a great open house on Saturday. We had about 45 people there. They ate all the donuts, ate all the chili. I don't know what else they did, but whether they got any information or any satisfaction out of the visit, I don't know. But they didn't go away hungry anyway.
Well, the comments on Facebook were good, so I think you did a great job, Bob.
We had fun. We had fun too. So that was the other thing about it is it makes you clean the shop. And we spent the whole week last week dusting, so looks pretty good.
That's good. And the snow was all gone?
Yeah, we had no snow. We had a really nice day. It was 14, 15 degrees and sunny. Several people brought their open top cars, top down. So.
Nice. Great. Good. Okay. Other questions or comments? Well, let me just share my screen again. Just a reminder of some of the events that are upcoming. Obviously here on the 8th. So we do have a luncheon on Steve and Sue Bell will be in town. So if anyone would like to join us at Kelly's in Norton, it's at noon on Friday the 12th. So give Bruce a call or drop him an email if you'd like to join us for that. We are going to have a couple special presentations on that day for that event. On Saturday, we're having a tech session. One of our fairly new members, Terry's got a BJ. I mean, excuse me, he's got a Bugeye with a 948 motor, and there's a strange knock in it. And so Bruce and I did some work on that today. Maybe Bruce, do you want to kind of share what we've done? Maybe some people in this group may have some thoughts as it relates to what the situation may be. So we did a compression test. We're about 150 on 1 and 2, but 3 and 4 were only at 60 pounds. We did put oil into 3 and 4, and it brought up to 90 pounds. But we're getting a knock under acceleration in all 4 gears. It sounds like it's in the engine, It's, we think we checked the drive shaft and, we don't think it's a throw bearing. But we definitely have a distinct knocking in it. Bruce, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, this it has me baffled, Peter. It's not the sound that I would expect to get from a rod. I know it's not piston slap, and we have good oil pressure. So I'm thinking that it's not a rod bearing or a big or small end of the rods or any place where it would have impact on the oil pressure. So I get the feeling that it's coming from somewhere around the bell housing to the back of the engine. And it's, I'm not sure how to describe the sound, but it's a knocking sound that it's not present at idle. You can get it to make this sound whether the car is in gear or not in gear. So if you're walking along next to the car and you get it up to, was it around 2000 RPM, Peter? I believe that we could get it to routinely exhibit itself. And so little lost right now as to where we go next. I think the engine may come out and we'll take a look at that. We may drop the pan first and just see if there is something that's visible from under the pan, but that I understand that was done a year or so ago, Peter. I believe you were there when, but did anybody beside Terry look at it, Peter?
No.
When it was taken apart?
No.
It doesn't knock if you free rev it to 2000.
No, it knocks.
Yes, you can get it to knock when you rev it out of gear. It does knock, yes, at 2000 RPM.
Okay, the next trick is to hold it at 2000 RPM when it's knocking and start taking off plug leads one at a time.
Good point.
As it's running.
Excellent point.
My guess would be a broken crankshaft. 2000 RPM, then if you got a crack in a crank, they rattle like hell. Just a guess.
So Michael, if we drop the pan, is there any way to locate a crack in a crank?
No, usually not. You got to take the crank out. Yeah. But it's just that I've had exactly the same symptoms, and it was a crack in the crank, and it took a long time to find it. But it was revealed by taking off the 3 and 4 spark plugs, and the noise sort of went away. When you put 3 and 4 back on, it came louder. So we figured, we don't know why that happened, but it did make it louder.
And where did the crack take place, Michael?
It was right across the rear main.
I can't. Hold on just a sec.
Steve, if you're not on participating, put your phone on mute, please.
Well, that's helpful, Michael. Thank you. Well,
yeah, hope it helps.
So I think that the fact we got the low oil in the compression at only 60 pounds.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. It's a bit odd, but I think it's a red herring.
Okay.
I'm just throwing this one out.
It feels like it's running on 3 cylinders.
Sorry?
It feels like it's running on 3 cylinders.
Oh, does it?
When you say that,
if
Bruce?
you put your hand over the tailpipe, is it got a bop to it?
Over the what?
Do that.
That's how you tell 3 cylinders. And then if you pull off the plugs one at a time, you'll be able to tell which cylinder is not working.
All right.
The valves look like they were all moving fine.
We took the plugs out, Michael, and inspected them, and they all were dry, but they were very carbon, and the engine appears to be running very rich. I believe the carburetors probably need some work as well.
Well, and the choke on the rear carburetor wasn't working at all. Bruce was able to loosen that up, and we got that choke working better.
How long do you think it's been running with a bad choke?
Oh, I bet a long time.
because you can actually literally wear rings away if you got piles of fuel going into 2 cylinders.
Well, it's 3 and 4 that are the problem with the low compression.
Try the plug lead trick first.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you. Wonderful suggestion.
Rob, did you have
guys
a question or a suggestion?
I just want to throw it on the compression thing. I'm pretty sure most engines won't run with 60. I think it has to be like 80 or above for it to run, especially once you get up in temperature, obviously, or the temperature fluctuations, and then the RPMs.
We're at 160 temperature.
That's neat.
I mean, it runs. I mean, it goes along, but it's like it's running on 3 cylinders, and it knocks at $2,000.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me that the compression may be an issue, because as a Model 8 Ford guy, if I get 30 or 40 pounds in a cylinder, it's a good day.
On the snowmobiles, I need at least 90 or they won't work. 80 something won't be enough.
Yeah, so we had 45 to 50 in 1 and 2, but we were only at 60. But again, we put in some oil into those 2 cylinders. It brought them back up to 90.
Now say that again, Peter. Say that again.
Okay. So in the 3rd and the 4th, we had compression of 60 pounds. We poured a little oil into each cylinder, and it brought it up to 90 pounds, both of them.
What were 1 and 2?
160.
140, 145, 150.
Yeah,
Where they should, yeah.
Yeah, they were just under 160, Bruce.
That's what's running the whole thing.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
The throttle plate is opening for the rear carburetor.
Yes, I was manually manipulating the throttle from under the hood. Yes, the shafts were connected. The air cleaners were on, so I wasn't really able to see whether the throttle plates were moving. The shafts are moving. Let's assume that there's 2 throttle plates in there.
Yeah, it almost sounds like you've got a closed throttle on the back carb, doesn't it?
Wow, neat. That'd be great.
Be easier to fix.
Yeah.
Is that possible with that low compression? That would be a symptom?
Well, if you've been testing the piston, you've been testing the compression as you should with the throttles wide open, yes.
We're not testing it with the throttles open.
You're just using closed throttle?
Yes.
That you can't test compression like that, because one carburetor, the throttle butterfly could be fully closed and the other one very slightly open, and it'll give you a massive difference in compression ratio and compression readings. You got to open the throttles wide open.
So is that consistent? The front and rear carburetors, they're manifolded, right? So the car would conceivably run on one carburetor. Is that correct?
It will, yeah, that's right, yeah.
So they're not separate pathways from the carburetors.
Well, you've only got the balance pipe, right? You've only got the balance pipe, so it's not that big.
Okay.
And it actually has a restrictor in it, if I remember correctly. So if you are not testing the compressions with full throttle, your compression readings are not really relevant. You've got to do it with full throttle.
Wow.
Peter, make a note of that. That'll be the first thing we do.
Right.
Fun.
Yep.
And don't forget to take the stop out when you do start the engine. When you put a piece of wood in to hold the throttle wide open.
Oh,
don't forget to take it out. Like, I've never done that. You can
understand. Oh, no. Yes. I'm just asking for a friend.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Other comments, Bruce?
No, Peter, I think that gives us some things to look for. We'll hope it's not a broken crankshaft.
Yeah, that's the nasty.
Wow, that is very cool. Yeah.
I got lots of crankshafts.
Well, yeah, there seems to be a lot of 948 motors around, so I think we at least have. It's not like trying to find one for a locomobile.
or a BN1.
We've got 4 members with
Yeah.
what they believe are good working 948s. So, and,
Yeah, I'm
and Terry's
down to
working on a
I'm down
tight
to about
budget.
10
So,
of them, I think, Pete.
yeah.
Put a
Well,
small block Chevy in it.
we're focusing on ones that are in the States, not in Canada.
Put a small block Chevy in it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen a Hemi and a Sprite before, so. But then, you know,
Show,
just
Chevy
any of
go.
those that are coming in from New York, you know, Steve Feld is having an event in the Catskills on Sunday.
Yep.
The first at Patriots Place in Foxborough. The first show is on the 18th, and then as Bruce was talking earlier, that on the 27th is when Mark LeBlanc is having his second open house of the year at his place in Fitzwilliams, New Hampshire. So, so again, we have this out on our website, so we keep up to date as it relates to events that are going on within New England and within the region. So hopefully you'll find some of these valuable, and we look forward to seeing you at some of these events coming forward. Anything that anyone have before we close?
Peter, do you bring your cars
Absolutely.
to the Patriot Place event?
I have, absolutely. I was fortunate enough last year to my 101 Best of Show.
Yes.
I was very fortunate. So yeah, there's an event that BMC New England is having an event at Patriot Place. Let's see if it's
so all BMCs will have everybody there.
Well, this is BMC New England is having
BMCs.
an event. I forget when it is right now. I'll have to go back and look at it. But they are having an event there. BMC New England is having that. But okay, well, if nothing else, hope you guys enjoyed tonight's discussion. We appreciate all the comments and feedback, and certainly was an enjoyable evening. And look forward to seeing you guys the second Monday of May. So sounds like gonna be good weather the next couple of days. So get out and enjoy your cars.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you,
thank
Peter.
you all.
Great, yeah, thanks, Peter.
Good job,
Thank you,
Peter.
Thank you,
Good
Pete.
night.
Thanks,
Thanks
Peter.
everybody.
Thank you, Peter.
Good night. Thanks, Les.